actually doing something with, was it 4ZZZ in Brisbane, where I've got to document my life for a month and everything I do for a month, and they're going to turn it into a podcast. So I'm just going to do the start of this, and so yes, there you go. All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's event. Sorry for the slight delay there in the beginning, but there's a few little technical problems, as there usually is with these things, when we're trying to bring people in the room together with people online. And I think it's fantastic that we've got the online capability these days, so that if you weren't able to make it out here today, you're also still able to join us from home. We have got a fairly long session today, but don't worry, we're not going to ask you to sit down for 3 hours. We're going to have a break during the session, and you'll be able to go out and help yourself to some morning tea outside, and a tea and a coffee. Hopefully the urn's finished boiling now. That's one of my other jobs I'll go do after I've said all the good mornings and things. We'll go outside and make sure it's ready to go. There is going to be plenty of time for questions today, both for people online at home and for you people here in the room as well. And we thank you for making the effort for coming out this morning. Thankfully, the rain hasn't started yet, and thankfully, or let's hope, fingers crossed, there'll be no rain by the time you head home today, so we'll all be staying nice and dry. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Whadjuk Noongar people and their leaders, their past, present and emerging, and thank them for the land we are able to meet on this morning. I also would like to thank Visibility and the Lions Eye Institute for making today possible, and especially thank everybody online and everybody here in person for attending this morning. For those people here in the building, let's cross fingers we don't hear any alarms. If we do hear any alarms, what we'll do is just exit out of the theaterette here. We'll go out through the main front doors that you came in. We'll go through the gate, down to the pedestrian lights and cross the road, and we'll wait at the train station, and we'll let the fire brigade come in and do all the rest. I've told this joke a million times, but I'll tell it again. Please leave all your personal belongings, because that's what makes our payment for today, okay? We'll take that to cash, but no, we won't really. Okay, so please leave personal belongings, because you can't replace you, but we can replace a handbag and a phone and things like that, so don't worry about that. But it'll be safe, and let's hope the fire people come and there's no problems. Anyway, it's not going to happen, so that's all good. Toilets, if you're looking for the toilets when you walk out of this room, if you walk straight ahead and just before you hit the wall on the opposite side, if you turn right there, you'll find your toilets there. Let me get this right in my head. I think it's females to the right and males to the left. If I've got that wrong, come and see me afterwards, after your event, okay? Let me know. Also, and the tea and coffee will be on your right-hand side just as you're walking through to the toilets. But we've got plenty of people here today that are more than happy to help you out and assist you wherever you're going. So, I'm Ryan Honshooten. I'm actually the Youth Support Officer here at Visibility. I've worked at Visibility for on 20 years. In a variety of roles. Some of that role has been working in what was our Industry Skills Centre, teaching Certificate 1 in IT and what was the other one? Business, that's right. That was a long time ago. I haven't been involved in the assistive tech for a long time now. And as one thing I said to Magda the other day when she asked me to talk here today was that I said, Magda, it's one of those things. If you don't keep using it, you tend to lose it a bit. And it's honestly, it's true. I mean, Manny's our go-to JAWS person, and I find it quite embarrassing now these days. I've got to go to Manny and ask Manny, hey, Manny, what's that keystroke again? I used to know them off the top of my head because I talked about them every day. I lived, breathed JAWS keystrokes and a lot of other assistive tech, but because I don't now, apart from what I use in my daily life, I do tend to forget it as well. So that is one of the things I guess I'd like you to take home today from me personally, is that just occasionally, if you're not using that app that you do like, but if you haven't used it for a couple of months, it doesn't hurt every now and then when you've got that spare 30 seconds in your day, just pick up that phone or pick up that device, whatever it is you're using, and just have another quick flick through it, have another go at it, use it, work it out, because otherwise you do tend to forget those little tips and tricks. It's like riding a bike. You know, you can get up there and redo it again, or riding a horse or whatever you want to do, or whichever sport you play or something. You can get up and do it again, but you just got to make sure you practice at it every now and then. All right, no more talking from me. I'm going to invite everybody up from the team one by one to just come and quickly introduce themselves so you know who they are. So we'll pick on Magda first, shall we? Why not?
Judy, would you like to come up as well?
Yeah, yes, come on, Judy.
Yep. Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for being with us in person today and online. My name's Magda. I'm a research assistant at the Lions Eye Institute. I work for Professor David Mackey, who is a well-known ophthalmologist here in Perth. I got involved with our wonderful visibility team about 1.5 years ago now, and we've been working together in partnership and collaboration to put together some presentations for you and get some experience and learn from one another. So today, Judy and I will be talking to you about various apps that you can use on different smart devices, and we've got some more information about assistive technology in general coming to you from our friends here at Visibility. So I'll let Judy introduce herself as well.
So hi everyone, my name is Judy, and I am an occupational therapist with low vision. I did my placement at Visibility at the beginning of this year, and now I've just graduated from Curtin University 3 weeks ago and qualified as an OT. And yeah, I'm really glad that I can have this opportunity today to share some of my experience with you. And yeah, hopefully everyone will enjoy the session today.
Sorry, I'll let you guys swap with Manny.
Yep. Hello, everybody. My name is Manny. Some people call me Emmanuel if I'm in trouble. I work here at Visibility as the Assistive Technology and Blindness Product Specialist. And then my role is to assist clients in their assistive technology matters. And we provide some trainings at Visibility. And when you come out later through the door, on the left-hand side, we have brochures about services from Visibility, the one that we offer to clients. And you are welcome to browse the table, the brochures. Thank you.
Who's coming up next? We got a Linda or a Maria?
Maria.
Maria. Run, Maria.
Thank you so much for take off my mask. Thank you so much for inviting me up to say a quick hello. My name's Maria Clark. I'm social worker here at Senior Social Worker here at Visibility, and really wrapped. Welcome to our wonderful presenters. We've got 4 people presenting to you, and I will sneak in at the end as well. Today, we absolutely have been stoked to have a partnership together for the last, as Magda said, 1.5 years with the Lions Eye Institute. So we've brought to you a series of talks. Is there anything else you need to know about me?
Wonderful social.
See you later.
I think Lynn's still chaperoning people.
Okay, all right. So it is a parent-place requirement to keep your masks on while in the room, except for those people presenting. So that's why I offered to do this a little bit, because I can take it off every 30 seconds or so. I will stop my own recording now, but to let you all know that we will actually be recording today's session. So if you happen to be like me and occasionally nod off during these presentations, true, my CEO woke me up once in this very room. But if you happen to miss something or you want to go back over it, we will be releasing the link later sometime. Give us a couple of months to edit a few things and fix it up, but we will be doing that. So just to let you know, it is being recorded. We have muted everybody's mics at home and turned off their cameras at home. Okay, we will be taking questions from people at home. When you need to do that, you can unmute yourself later when we invite questions. People in the room, you put your hand up. I'm sure someone here with eyes that work better than mine will pick you out and come and get that question underway. I think that's all I need to say. So I'm going to hand you over to Magda now, who's going to start the presentation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ryan. Applause. Yeah, right. For Ryan, please, everybody. All right, so let's get started for today. So online, if you can't see the screen, please let me know. Is it possible for us to have the screen turned on in person?
Yeah, at the moment we can see yourselves.
Okay.
The camera right on your screen share.
Apologies. I'm not super familiar with Teams, unfortunately. Share. Do we know where the share screen option is?
It's right down here. They're just going to come up.
Okay. Full screen. Sharing? Screen? Window? Oh no.
That's fine. And then just present.
Just there. As you're presenting, we should be able to. Yep, we're seeing it.
Okay. Can we see it in the room though? Okay. All right.
That's connected differently.
Okay.
I'll do that. We have done that before.
Shall we just start? And the link will be made available to everybody who would like to access it in the future, perhaps?
Indeed. Don't want to hold you up because we've had a few hiccups.
Okay, let's just get started. So we've entitled today a Smart Guide to Smart Devices, and as we mentioned before, we'll be talking about different applications that are available on these devices and some accessibility features as well. So we want to start with a disclaimer. Judy and I will only be speaking about a very small sample of all the apps that are out there and exist. So it's definitely not an exhaustive list. And it's important to keep in mind that not all of the apps we'll be talking about today not all of them may be relevant to you. So it definitely depends on your personal circumstances. So whether you use an Android or an iOS device and your personal preferences as well. So Judy and I are iPhone users, so that's iOS. So we'll be presenting from that perspective. But all the apps that we're going to talk to you about today, most of them will apply to both sets of devices, so iOS and Android. So the information that we're going to give you is very much interchangeable, but we will present you with some alternatives for the different platforms where we can. If we could ask you to please save your questions until the end of the presentation, and if you have any very specific questions about an app that you already use, please come and see us and we'll try to at the end and we'll address those queries then. Okay, so you may be asking yourself, what are the benefits of using smart devices like tablets and iPhones and just smartphones in general? What we're seeing with these devices, they're now trying to occupy this area of assistive technology. And because these devices are so technologically advanced, they're powered enough to be able to support lots of different applications and features that are already built into the devices that essentially turn them into a digital multi-purpose tool and as a tool that you can use as multiple, more traditional assistive devices at once. So the great thing about these devices is that they're completely customizable. You can go in and change things according to your own needs. And they're a good idea as they reduce some of the costs that are associated with buying multiple more traditional options. The apps are wonderful as generally you can download and use them immediately. There's little to no cost associated with most of them. And there are lots of instructional videos, tutorials, and reviews that are available online to walk you through these apps and how to use them step by step. And of course, as Ryan mentioned, our friends at Visibility are here to help as well. So we're going to start with the category of navigation and getting around to start off with. And I'd like to invite Judy up to the lectern to talk about Microsoft Soundscape.
All right, so the first app that we're going to talk through today is Microsoft Soundscape. And I feel the outstanding feature of this app is that it provides a 3D sound to you, which means the sound cues will come from the direction of the place. For example, if let's say a cafe is at your left, the sound will come through your left earphone and tell you, oh, the Duncan Street Cafe is at your left, about 50 meters away from you. So it gives you that kind of like immersive feeling and help you build that mental map of your surroundings. And but unfortunately, this app is only for iOS users at the moment, but it works quite well with VoiceOver. And for Apple devices, it can be run on iPhone SE, 6S, and later versions. And When you turn on the map, I feel the homepage is easy to navigate and not very cluttered, and it provides good color contrast. And now I'll talk through the main features of this app. So on the homepage at the bottom, there are 4 buttons. From left to right, they are my location, around me, around me, ahead of me, and nearby markers. So the first one, my location. If you click this one, it will tell you where you are, for example, the name of the street and which direction you are facing. For example, it might tell you like facing southeast on Beasley Avenue. The second one, around me, it will tell you four things, like one thing of each quadrant. So one thing ahead of you, one thing to your left, one thing to your right, and then one thing behind you. And for the third one ahead of me, it will tell you 4 things, like obviously ahead of you. And nearby markers, it will tell you up to 4 markers that are close to you. And it intends to orient yourself with the things that you've already known. All right, the other main features are nearby places and audio beacon. So for nearby places, the app has already set several categories for you. For example, like public transportation, food and drinks, and banks and ATMs. So you can just choose a place of your interest from this list, or you can also search a place in the search bar if you know the name. And once you've chosen a place of interest, you can start the audio beacon. So the app will tell you the direction of that place by using beacon with different rhymes. So for example, if you are facing like the opposite direction of the place, the beacon will be in a low page and be very slow. But if you are facing exactly towards the direction, there will be like extra things to tell you, all right, you're on the right track. The other thing I like about this app is that if you turn on the app and walk around, it will tell you the name of the like shops or restaurants when you pass them. So for example, if I walk along the Albany Highway here in V Park, where there are so many restaurants and shops, they will tell me the name. And I like this because it just make the hangout so much more enjoyable, because I feel like stupid to stop in front of every shop and take a photo and then zoom in to see what it is. But with this app, I can just walk around like anyone else, but I can know what's happening around me. And the other thing about this app is that it provides help and tutorials within the app. So if you go to the menu icon at the left, top left corner, and then click help and tutorials, it will give you extra information about how to use the app and how to use each function. Yeah, now I'll hand it over to Magda for the rest 2 navigation apps.
All right, so the next option we have for you is called the Lazarillo GPS. So this is an application that's available on both iOS and Android devices. So it's similar to Soundscape in some ways, but this one gives you more of that classical turn-by-turn navigation as you're trying to go from point A to point B. So it gives you that information in real time for different modes of getting around. So both for walking and traveling by bus and car, and it does give you the option to order an Uber straight from the app. So for this one, similarly to Soundscape, as you're walking through the environment, it will let you know the location of different places of interest. So again, it could be a restaurant or a pharmacy or a doctor's office, for example, and you can go into the app and you can customize what places of interest you want information about. So generally this app you can have running in the background of your phone. So you can be sending an email or a text message, for example, and once this app is activated, it will continue to run. So as you're walking through the city, for example, it will give you directions to your destination, and then it will announce perhaps there's a cafe on your left and a pharmacy on your right, and it will let you know where they are in the environment. And it's also great because it announces intersections and key reference points as well. So the last navigation app that we have for you today is called Move It. So Move It is a premier public transport app. This one gives information in real time on different public transport services near you. So that includes buses, trains, and ferries. And again, this one will give you live step-by-step direction to different stops and train stations. And it's very comprehensive in that it tells you the distance to walk to that particular stop, the time, the arrival time of your bus or your train or your ferry, and generally how much that service will cost you. So all the services on this app are live tracked so that you can identify the correct service to board, for example. And it's wonderful because you can access all the timetables for every single public transport service here in Perth, and it will give you a sense of service disruption. So if there's roadworks, for example, and your bus will be delayed or it's taking a slightly different route, the app will let you know. It has a feature that you can turn on and off in the app that will let you know when you're about to reach your destination. So typically when you're about 8 to 500 meters away, you'll get a little notification on your phone to tell you to get ready to disembark. And then once you've actually arrived at that stop that you want to get off at, it will let you know that you've actually arrived and it's time to get off the service. There's also a wayfinder feature available here. So what the app does is it uses the camera on your device, whether that's a tablet or a smartphone, and you can hold it around you and it will actually show you where the station or the stop that you want to depart from is in your environment. It is an app that can be used all around the world. They add a new city every couple of days, and because it's using GPS tracking, it will know automatically if you travel to a different city, and it will update all the available services for you straight away. So as I mentioned before, all the various timetables are available in the app. Very easy to access those, particularly with VoiceOver. So this app is compatible with VoiceOver, and it's quite comprehensive in the different features of VoiceOver that you can utilize within the app. It also displays the timetables for all your CAT services as well, so it is very, very comprehensive. It's wonderful in that you can use the map in the app, and it will let you know where you're located, and it will automatically display where different bus stops are relative to you. And then it's a matter of tapping on those bus stops, and it will actually show you what services are available at each of those stops or stations. So it's a very easy way of finding out information in real time, what's available at what stop, without, for example, having to go through the Transperth app. So if you're out and about in an unfamiliar area, this is the quickest way to get information about what transport services, public transport services are around you. So within the app, in the user interface, it's a matter of just typing in where you want to go. You can set, for example, your home and your work addresses and any other places where you tend to travel. As I mentioned, you can order an Uber right off of the app as well. So it's a matter of typing in where you want to go, and then the app will automatically show you what services or suggested routes are around you, and then you can go through those to see which one suits you best. So depending on how many transfers there are and so on and so forth, how much you may have to walk from one to the other. And then from there, once you pick the option that's best for you, it will go in and it will show you a map, and it will give you a sense of where you are, how long it will take you to get where you want to go. From there, you can alter the time of departure. So if you're running late or early, for example, it will change the timetables. It will let you know when the services are departing, and that can all be used with VoiceOver. So once you click go, it will give you the live directions that we're looking for. And again, with VoiceOver, this becomes audible, so you can hear the directions. if I just skip ahead to the wayfinder feature, so what you can do here is that through your camera on your device, if you actually point your phone or your tablet, whatever you're using, in front of you and point it down the road, it will actually show you an icon on the screen of where your service departs from. Okay, so next we're going to talk about some multi-purpose apps. So these ones come in different iterations. They're all similar in how they use artificial intelligence and adaptive technology to work. And typically they combine lots of different channels. So you can use one app for lots of different, to access lots of different features. So the one we're going to really talk about in detail today is Seeing AI. So this app initially started off as a research project that was led by Microsoft, and it was developed by and for people with low vision or blindness. So what it does is it uses the technology to access the camera on your device, and through that camera you can use the app to describe the visual world around you. So there's a couple of different channels here. First off, there's a channel called short text, which reads out any text that appears in front of the camera. So great for reading, for example, product labels or bus timetables, anything of that sort. It will read out documents and what's printed or handwritten on those. It can identify products through a barcode scanner, people in the environment, although I must say that it tends to overestimate people's ages, unfortunately. It can identify different objects in scenes and the amount of colour and light in the environment. So just a bit of a disclaimer for this app as well. It can be tricky to use sometimes when the font or the text that you're trying to read is a little bit complicated. When handwriting is a bit scribbly or not very legible, it can be difficult as well. And some of the channels that this one uses are experimental. They're still building on making them a little bit more sophisticated, and they don't tend to work as well, unfortunately. But it is a very powerful app, and it is compatible with VoiceOver as well. Unfortunately, it's only available on Apple devices at the moment, but they are working on an Android version as well. So to give you a sense of what the app's about, when you first open it, you've got the channels across the bottom. So again, with VoiceOver, it reads out those channels, and the channels do announce themselves. So hopefully we've got the audio on this. Okay, so unfortunately those aren't working. However, I have got some bits and pieces with me, so maybe it would be good to just demonstrate the app live. So apologies for those of you.
On there, don't you? That's how we got it working last time. Daniel did it for us.
Computer. So we can see it online through
The text was working before. I'm not sure why it's. Sorry, not the text. The audio.
Once where, you know, whatever Daniel.
It was the computer. We got it to the computer to get it up on screen.
Okay, do you want to have a go? And I'll just
So,
To have a look at this, can you?
so I think it was like a computer, yeah.
Try it?
It might turn off the presentation though. So if we
Wanna
hit
try
that, no, it'll. No, not there. Here, laptop. That's the way of getting it up on.
Let me have a look at the other computer.
It's okay. I think it might just be easier.
I was worried if we hit that we'll
It's
kill
okay.
your
That's all right.
presentation.
I think it's just easier to do a live sort of demonstration here. So hopefully those of you that are online, you should be able to hear what's happening in the room. And let me just turn my volume up.
Short text.
Okay, so I've just opened the app here, and as you go across the bottom where the channels are, the app will let me know where I'm at.
Document. Product. Person. Currency.
And so on. So if we go
Short text.
to the short text channel, I've got a box of crackers here. So if we put those in front of the camera,
Original. Original, not fried. Original suin.
Hopefully you can hear that.
Original, not bibate dd. Arnades original.
So let's turn it over, see if it, actually, let's try this one, see if it does any better.
T-milk. Free. No, no fives. Gluten free. No additives. No preservatives. Free lining. Ingredients. Coconut kernel extract. 89%. Water. AYAMTU coconut milk may solidify in temperatures of ICC or below without affecting its quality. The natural color of
So there you have
coconut
it.
milk is light gray. To document.
So like I mentioned before, if there's sort of complicated text, it can struggle a little bit, but that just gives you a sense of, you know,
Right edge not visible.
that it is picking up on the text that's shown in front of the camera. So if we go to the barcode, the product scanner instead, this one will emit a sound, and the closer you get to a barcode, it will pick up in frequency and in pitch, and then it will hopefully scan the barcode and identify the product. So let's see if
Processing. AM premium coconut milk.
so it's done its job. From here, you can click on an option called More Info, and it will give you more of a detailed description of what the product is. So this feature doesn't work for all products. Sometimes it works with some products better than others, but it gives me a description here, and I can go in and I can play that.
AM premium coconut milk 100% natural with no preservatives or additives. This premium quality coconut milk is perfect for curries, soups and desserts.
So it gives you a little bit more detail. And from here, you can share this information via text message or email with other people, and you can change the size of the text that appears on your screen if that is of interest to you. So another feature of Seeing AI is the identification here. It will identify people. So I might just take a photo of myself, and let's see how old it's going to tell me.
One face near center. One face near center. Less than a meter. One face 0. One face near center. One face processing. 21-year-old woman with black hair wearing glasses looking neutral.
I am not 21, so that's a great result for me. Sometimes with masks, it can get a little bit tricky, but this feature is nice as well in that it tells you how far away people are from you. And what you can do as well is actually program friends or loved ones into the app, and it will remember them and it will recognize them. So when you're, in a social situation, you can tell who's around you as well. So we won't demonstrate some of the other channels because it would take quite a while. But if you're interested in maybe having a go with the app after we've finished presenting today, or if you want more information, please come and see us afterwards. Okay. So there are a couple of other alternatives to this app. So there's Envision AI, which is available on both Apple and Android devices. This one has very similar features. It has an additional feature which allows you to identify objects in the environment, so doors or example chairs. You can download it and use it for 2 weeks for free, but then it comes with some subscription costs. So over the life of the app, there's an expense involved. But Envision AI have introduced a general lifetime subscription for this app. So instead of paying monthly or once a year, you can pay a fee once and then you're covered for however long you have the app. So SuperSense AI and Google Lookout are also really good options, with Google Lookout in particular being available on the Androids, and SuperSense is available on both platforms, and they're both free to download and use. So we're going to change tack a little bit for this last part of the app presentation. We're going to talk about 2 apps which allow you to access visual information by calling or via live video stream a sighted individual through your device. So both of these apps, so they're called Be My Eyes and Aira, they work on a similar principle. So they connect you with a sighted volunteer live and on demand through the camera on your device. So it's important to remember that for Be My Eyes, it's a community of volunteers that you're connecting with. So these individuals are from around the world. The way that when they sign you up, they ask you for a language preference and they ask you for your time zone. So they connect you with people who are going to be awake, first and foremost, to give you the information that you're after. So you can use this for any sort of task that you like. I've got this app on my phone and I've had a couple really wonderful experiences with people around the world. So I've spoken with a gentleman in America who needed some information about some fashion choices he was making. There was an Australian lady who was cooking dinner for herself and she made a potato and the potato had fallen on the floor and it was very hot and her dog was running around, so she wanted some assistance to try to find the potato so that the dog wouldn't get sick. Unfortunately, I think she may have called me a little bit late because we couldn't locate the potato. And then most recently, there was a lady who wanted some assistance to figure out what mode her air conditioner was in and to what temperature she had it set. So this one's free to download and use. There's more volunteers than there are individuals using the app for accessing that visual information. So it's pretty easy to connect to someone. Although keeping in mind, remember that these people aren't formally trained. You may have some privacy concerns about this, but within the app, you can only use the camera that's on the back of your device. There is no option to flip the cameras. So unless you're specifically pointing the camera at yourself, it's completely anonymous and it's almost impossible to tell who you are and where you are and what you're doing. So the alternative to Be My Eyes is Aira. The main difference with this one is that it is a subscription rather. It's a service that you pay for. So instead of calling volunteers and connecting to volunteers, you get connected to agents. So this app is based in the States, I believe, and Aira agents, as they're called, they're trained extensively in different aspects of communication, but also the services that they can provide you. So, for example, if you're traveling and you're at an airport that you might not be familiar with and you're trying to find your way to a taxi or to the baggage claim, for example, and you're not sure where to go, you can call up an Aira agent and they actually have schematic diagrams and blueprints of major buildings around the world, and they can actually direct you to where you need to go. They can follow Uber rides for you and book Uber rides for you. What they can do for you is essentially almost limitless. As I mentioned, there is a subscription cost associated. So here in Australia, they charge $40 for 30 minutes per month. However, if you are requiring an Aira agent for, say, checking an expiration date or a very quick task, you can call them as many times a day as you like, as long as your phone call, or your video call, I should say, is less than 5 minutes per day. So something to keep in mind there. All right, so I'll invite Judy back up onto the stage to talk about some accessibility features.
Cool. So now I'm going to present some accessibility features of iPod devices, and I list 5 here. There are voiceover, spoken content, zoom, magnifier, and voice control. Let's see. Let me try. So the first one I'm going to talk about is voiceover. Oh, let's jump to the next slide. Okay. If it can't be played, I can demonstrate from it. So I guess some of you have already been familiar with VoiceOver because like it's really a cool feature of Apple devices to help you know what's on the screen and interact with your phone. And the next one I'm gonna talk about is spoken content. Where is it? Try again for me, Judy. Oh, we have to go back to the size. Yep, there we go. For spoken content, I personally regard it as an easy version of VoiceOver, because it's only tells you like what's on the screen or read aloud the text that you select. So it won't change the gesture of how you interact with the phone, and to turn it on, the gesture is very simple. You just swipe down from the top of your screen with 2 fingers, and then it will read aloud the whole screen. And let me show you the video. All right, just one comment on the speech controller here, because we can't customize the color of that speech controller. Sometimes the color contrast is not enough for me to find where is it on my screen. So hopefully Apple, like in the future, can change that. And the next one. All right, the next one is Zoom. So it's kind of like Yeah, you can enlarge the screen, either like part of the screen or the whole screen. And the gesture is to tap the screen with 3 fingers twice. Let me show the video. Cool. So the next one is magnifier. It's like a built-in app in Apple devices to help. It's used the phone camera to like take a photo and then zoom in to help you see what the picture is about. So yeah, let's play the video.
much.
The last one is voice control. It's originally designed for people with physical or motor disabilities, but I think it can also be used by us, like people with visual impairment, to help us interact with the phone. So let's play the video.
No, it's coming on and off, so I definitely have sound.
Yeah, I understand it might be a big chunk of information. Like there's so many different gestures and instructions to use those accessibility features. So if you need like more information or you want to review those videos, you can go to the Apple Support YouTube channel. You can either search a specific accessibility feature in the search bar, or you can watch the accessibility playlist. Yeah, what's next? Sorry, Judy, that's my fault. Okay, try again. Yep, there we go. All right. So the next session is about some tips and tricks that we can use to help us use like. The first one is about transperth. I realized that recently there are like some QR code at each bus stop. It's usually at the bottom of the schedule that you can scan it, and then it will bring you to a web page to tell you the time of the next 5 buses. And I find it quite useful because it's a live feature. The time is much more accurate than the printed schedule on the pole. So sometimes I can just like tell which bus is coming based on the time. Yeah, so just like to share this trick with you. Hopefully it can help you. The QR code is available at most bus stops, but if not, the other way to do that is to call, what's the number, 136213, and tell the number of that bus stop, and then it will tell you what's the next available service at that bus stop.
Something that is worth being aware of as well, if you own an Apple device, is knowing that there's some services offered at the stores here in Perth. So there's one in Booragoon and the other in Perth City. So Apple offer these sessions called Today at Apple. Essentially, these are curated workshops in different aspects of your device. So whether that's an iPhone or an iPad, what have you. So you can book in, and they hold these sessions in basic skills. So if you're new to iOS, you've never used it before, they can take you through how to best set up your device for you. And then the workshops go all the way through to creating music, photography, and even coding. They do offer sessions specifically in accessibility features as well. So as Judy mentioned, we have given you a lot of information today. So you can book in a session at either one of the Apple stores and have someone go through these features with you one-on-one, and they can help you to activate them or to turn them on your device and give you a sense of how to use them as well. So important to keep in mind that we've talked a lot about Apple devices in accessibility features as well, but Android phones do offer the same features, if not exactly the same. They're very, very comparable. They work in a very similar way. So as far as I know, there aren't any sort of Android-based workshops available like they are for Apple, but luckily there are lots of different resources available online. So one of those is Hadley. They are based or associated with the National Eye Institute in the States, and they've put together a web page where you can interact with other users of different devices or different apps. They have an online community there, and then they have lots of links and lots of videos and tutorials as well on lots of different assistive devices, but then also apps and features of our smart devices as well. And then the other community that you can connect to online is put together by AppleViz. So again, this is for Apple users, but this is specifically a community of people with low vision. So there's lots of information that you can access through there and support by connecting to other people around the world. So Manny and Ryan, if you've got any comments on anything we've talked about, these guys have a wealth of lived experience between them.
Yes, the first thing I want to say is for the people at home, we are aware that the audio from the presentations didn't come through. So what we'll do is, and it was a lot of information to take on board. So what we'll do is after this event, give us time to have a Saturday afternoon lunch and at least a Sunday nap. During the week, we will bring all those links together that Judy was playing in her presentations, and I think even the links that Magda's been talking about, we'll put them in an email and we'll send them out to everybody all at once so that everyone's got those links. Even the people here today, probably sitting there thinking, this is all great, and you walk out of the room and 2 seconds later you're thinking, what are we talking about? So it happens to me. I don't know if it's just me, but maybe it is. But, you know, it'll be great if we can back this all up and put it into the links, so the Apple Viz and the Android and all that sort of stuff. Manny, come stand, we can share the desk together. One thing I will say with Android, yes, the accessibility is good. I've been using Android ever since I moved to a smartphone. That was about in 2009, I think 2010. Why? Because I wanted the challenge. Everyone else was going to Apple, And I said to myself, well, I actually just read the Steve Jobs book, and I thought, I don't like this guy. I don't like the way he's going. I don't like the way he likes to control the world and control all his users. And I said, that's not me. So I put my hand up and took on the first, what was the Nexus 1. And yeah, there were struggles in the beginning. Yes, there was a lot of handing my phone over to sighted people and asking them to fix things and do things and get things sorted out. But it's come a long way. I'm now using my Pixel 4. You can ask Manny. I'm always running into Manny's office every time. Manny, you want to see what Pixel's doing now? It's really great. It's really good. So that's all I've ever known. That's all I've ever done, used, even at home. My whole house is completely run by Google. I've got them everywhere. I use them all the time. So everything I do is Android. It's never been iPhone. In fact, I've played with a few iPhones and they frustrate me. Okay, I'd much rather see them swimming out in the ocean or something like that. But I do understand it's also horses for courses. You know, like I say to everybody, we're all different people and we all have different, I guess, parts of life that excite us and that don't excite us and that sort of thing. And what works for you is best for you. One of the things I did want to say, just touching quickly, and I'll let Manny talk in a minute, but in regards to the QR code on the bus stop that Judy mentioned, if it's not in your area yet, Transperth are still rolling them out. If it's not in your area yet, give that number a call, 136213, and ask them to put it in your area. Another little hidden trick too with Transperth, if your bus stop's not accessible or it's not got a sheltered bus stop, did you know you can make a complaint and get that changed? Okay, all you got to do is ring the 136213 and let them know. And if they don't do it this week, ring next week and ring the week after. It's part of their policy. They will make bus stops accessible if they're not. Okay, so just to remember that. Yeah, Manny.
You guys enjoying the session so far? Yeah, oh, that's good. I'm just here to give you some tips about the apps. It's good to have the accessible apps on your smart devices. But keep in mind, the first one is you gotta have, most of them requires data, internet data. So keep in mind, you gotta have a data from your SIM card provider, either from Telstra, Vodafone, Optus, and so on. It's just keep in mind, you gotta have data for the apps to work. And the second one about the apps, navigation apps. So I use a Track Air aftershock bone conducting headset. So it goes around the back of your head, and then it's just sit on top of your earlobe, and then there's a speaker sticking out on the your cheekbone. And the reason I am using this headset is I can hear what is around me, the sound, the people around me when I'm walking and using the navigation app, and also the sound from the phone itself. So it doesn't block my ear to outside people and environment. Okay, the third one is hygiene. Okay, you have devices, but I make a habit every once a week. I clean up my handset, my phone, my tablets, my laptops with just a normal lens cleaner, a disposable lens cleaner. So I clean them once a week, at least once a week, because there was a survey. I don't know if it's right or not. They said your devices it's dirty as more dirty than a toilet bowl. So this is research done by the professionals, but just keep in mind because you're touching your device all the time. So make sure they are clean and hygienic. And I think that's all for me.
Any tips on using VoiceOver, Manny, or Magnifier that you know with iPhone?
Okay, so the tips is YouTube. YouTube is the big source of training, learnings, and then also social community. So if you have a group of people that doing activities like here in Visibility, we have CAC, Community Activity Center, where people get around to do pottery, woodwork, handicraft, braille stuff, music, cooking class. They can mingle together and then have inputs, feedback from your friends within the group. Or you can, when you socialize with people, sometimes they talk about technology, just ask them questions. So that's the tips, yeah.
Excellent. We're just about to go to questions. One other thing that I did for Android users, that if there's anyone out there using Android with me, is I actually downloaded Eloquence, which is the same voice as JAWS. And I think I paid like $20 for it back in 2009, and I'm still using the same license. So I don't actually use the Google Voice that they supply because I didn't like it. So, and I guess I was so used to using JAWS, that was another thing. And something else, and I don't know the full facts on this, but I know Envision just released their app for free or for a once-off subscription in July. And they've actually announced they will not be charging for it anymore.
Correct, mid of July.
Yeah, because they've made too much money out of it or something like that already, or they're actually invested in making it a free app. Do you know more a bit about that one, Manny?
So they're going to have a new software update in the middle of July, around 20th of July. So from there on, you have either to uninstall your current Envision app and then just install the new one, and then that will be free of charge. But you still can donate if you want to donate to them. Yeah. So that's the Envision.
Yeah, but they have done a lot of good work. The Envision AI app, the scene description is very good. The color description is good. The one thing I did speak to Manny about during the week is sometimes I've got 3 different apps on my phone which I use for color detection. And it's amazing that you might scan it with one, it'll say grey shirt. The next one might say kind of grey shirt. And the other one might say kind of light grey shirt. So sometimes it is handy to have the 3 because especially when they're all giving you slightly different color. Do you find that, Manny?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So I just use my Be My Eyes or Ira to call a sighted person and then tell me what color I'm wearing.
Yep. Yeah. So, all right, we're going to take some questions now. So, unfortunately for the people at home, you can still ask questions, but your voice won't come through the theaterette here. So it's going to come through into my ears, my head. And so I'll have to be your voice for you, but we'll just, while people at home, you'll have to unmute yourself as well. But firstly, we'll just run to the room here. Is there anyone here that's got a question? If you'd like to put your hand up, Maria, we probably need someone to bring the microphone around to them.
My inquiries are about different outside to be accessible. First of all, Wordle. Wordle, the app. Not on that yet. A Wordle is New York Times Wordle game. Do you know that if we can get that to be accessible for the vision impaired? Wordle.
Manny?
We usually, there is, when you download the app, there is an input.
It's the New York Times Wordle, once a day word. So I don't know.
Yeah. So we have to contact the developer.
Yeah.
Some of them, they are very open. Some of them, they are not interested in reading our feedback. So just cross your fingers if, we can try to contact them. And then this is the issue. Can they make some improvement in terms of accessibility?
Someone has told me if you download JavaScript, it will do it. But unfortunately, with JavaScript, lets little things get into your phone.
That's right, correct.
So
yeah.
I don't know, maybe.
Look, it's one of those fights that every single one of us in this room and anyone at home with a vision impairment has to learn or has to be willing to take up. If we want this world to become more accessible, we've got to, as a huge army worldwide, stand up and say, this is not good enough. I want to do this. I want to make it happen. Something I've mentioned several times is just recently I was flying back from Brisbane to Perth, and I spent the whole 5.5-hour flight writing an email to Virgin telling them how ridiculous their onboard entertainment system is. It took me a while to get it all together and write it and all that sort of stuff. Have I had a response? No. Did it send? Yes. I know it definitely sent. I got a receipt, but I've had nothing since. Yeah. Now, is that going to stop me there? No. When I get time again, I will contact Virgin again and do something about it. But if we don't say something if we don't put our hand up and say, hey, this is not good enough. I want this made accessible for me, and not just for me, but for all my other vision impaired people. Nothing will ever happen. So
Okay, that's that one. Now, the next one, might be better for another time or another, just person to person. I'm a grandmother, and I was up until 5 years ago able to read and see and do all of that. Now, I should think that there should be an app out there that I could open. I'd like it free, but I don't even mind paying for it. It's the one that covers lots of stories for children. You know, the picture book, Puss in Boots or, whatever. I've got a little child, he's 2 years old. He always wants me to read books. Well, I can't read them. And I'm just saying, what's on this page? Whatever. So is there an app that will read with voiceover, with me controlling it, storybooks for children? It's got to be a picture storybook.
yes, good question. If we could bring Sinead in right now, I know she's at home listening in, but we would get her to comment on that, because that is something that's going around the office at the moment. It's being communicated throughout Visibility.
Correct.
There's a lot of talk about and a lot of different suggestions. I suggest what you do is contact Visibility during the week and ask to speak to Sinead.
Sinead has responded.
Okay.
She said, I find it really helpful changing my voice over advanced finger gestures in the setting to a two-finger swipe right and return to the home screen, and a two-finger swipe left. So what's...
I'm not sure which app you're using though, Sinead, to read the books, but I'm... No.
I want to be able, I'll take you all through the steps, right? Get there. Story time for kids. Open the app up, as you normally do. Now, open story time for kids. Then I'd flick across, stories from 0 to 2. No. 3 to 4. No. Whatever. But I'll let you go back to 0 to 2. So I'll swipe or tap, then I'll swipe through the stories. Puss in Boots, the Little Red Hen, whatever, right? Then I tap on the one that I want. Then I should be able to, with my gestures, like it'll say, click or tap, turn the page, and then it'll read the text. I might have to tap on it to read the text. An app like that. So there's, I'd have it on the iPad, so the little 2-year-old can see the picture. I can't see, but he can see it. Then it'll say, your monkey climbed up the tree. And that's it. Can you see the tree? And he points, yes, tree. Swipe. The little monkey jumped off the tree and down onto the ground. That's what I want. But not me to speak it, but my device to talk it.
That's right.
Yes.
As a mum with lots of girls, they use a program called Reading Eggs, and within that, it's on a website actually, so you can sign up for a subscription, and it has lots of stories, and you can put in what age group you're looking for stories, and you can click on it for the audio to be read as well, so you don't have to read it.
What was the name of that app again?
It's Reading Eggs.
Reading Eggs is E-double-G.
Yeah.
Yes, and is that on Apple? Website, okay.
Is it accessible, like completely accessible, like with vision impaired, completely?
Don't know until we find someone goes and has a look.
That is the issue. I know. Sorry?
She has problem seeing, so she's zoomed in and can navigate.
Hey, Brian. I don't know if you...
Yes, we can. Go for it, Sinead. Talk.
Oh, hi. I am more than happy to look into that when I return, now that I'm coming back to work, because I have the same issue for reading books to my kids, so I'd be really keen to look into Reading Eggs with this accessibility for voiceover.
So just for everyone's information, Sinead is one of our occupational therapists that works here. She's a mum of 2 beautiful kids, and Sinead has a vision impairment. I don't think you'll mind me saying that, Sinead.
No,
And
not at all.
Sinead's going through the same problem right now. She wants to read books to her children. So, yeah.
Well, a voiceover to read it, not us, because we can't see the text. Voiceover's got to be able to. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
The next thing is, the next one.
Okay, one last question, then I'm going to have to go to other people in the room or on the Zoom call.
A really user-friendly TV guide. Really user-friendly. So someone suggested Oz TV, well, it's, this way, that, I don't even know how to do it. But I would like it so that you can tap on the channel and the day, or the day and the channel, and then flick through what's on. Is there an easy one?
Sinead, Manny?
So it's like trial and error. So basically, we have to look at similar apps to that app, and then it's just testing it if it's.
So really, all of my questions are really drawing a big blank at the moment. Because that's, I mean, I live in the real world, everyday world. I live with normal sighted people.
Correct, we all do, yeah.
And I want to be able to do the same things as I would have done 5 years ago, as I do now. But
Correct.
I've got to ring someone up to play Wordle. I've got to ring someone up, it's, yeah.
Well, welcome to our world.
Oh,
That's right.
That's exactly what our world's like, and that's what my world's been like for 48 years.
Yes. So the good thing about Apple, because I think you are using VoiceOver, which is Apple devices, on Apple devices, they've got Apple accessibility hotline that you can call.
Yes, they're useless. I mean, they won't give you information about apps. That's not their job. They say, no, it's not our job. Not apps. How to use your iPhone, but not apps.
Another way you might be able to get around using the TV guide is to buy yourself an accessible TV. So there are some TVs that are out there on the market that are known for their accessibility. I know that Sony make a very good accessible TV, and so does Samsung. The ironic thing is
I've got all of those. I just want to, when I'm on the bus or outside, go to my phone and get up and say, right, what can I be watching tonight? And go through it. I've got all of that, and I can use all of that. But, if I'm away from the TV and I think, well, what do I want to watch tonight? Go through it. I can use the TV, I've got a Sony and a Samsung, I use all those features, but I want something on my iPhone that's purely accessible.
Manny, is there some
Maybe
sort of
the
accessible group?
Applevis, applevis.com, so applevis.com. So many people post their questions there, and then most of them get the answer straight away. Yeah, applevis.com. So Applevis.
Applevis is all one word.
Yes, one word, applevis.com. So post your question there. That's universal, worldwide. So people with voice-over skills, they usually answer questions and then give you direction in terms of apps and tips.
Yeah. Okay. All right, and it's one of those things, if we don't share what we know with everybody else, a lot of people go, without, or they don't know about it. So that's why we bring you here for these sort of things, and hopefully over morning tea. All right, I'm going to have to skip to someone else in the room, and then I'll go to online. So anyone else here quickly?
Yes, I have a question. A comment and a couple of
Just bring the mic.
Applevis. My name's Peter. Applevis have someone that's actually made Wordle, or working on it, making Wordle, the game, accessible. So that's one thing. I'm not too sure where on Applevis at the moment. I haven't been there for a while. But also, there's another tip I've got for using Seeing AI. With when you're scanning a document, if it's not working for you, just lift your phone, and it will eventually say steady. So once you've got it in place, then you can take the picture, and it will take the picture for you. That's it.
Thanks, Peter.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Peter.
that.
Yeah.
All right, if someone at home's got a question, if you'd like to unmute yourself quickly and ask your question.
If they're monitoring the chat, we haven't received any questions via the...
Yeah, no one at home. Any more tips from you, Sinead?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought Emmanuel might be able to elaborate because I found this tip really helpful with the new iPhones not having the home button, that you can change the advanced voiceover settings, that I do the 2-finger swipe right to get back to the home page rather than having to do that 1 finger slowly swiping up, feeling the vibrations. Yeah, and then the 2-finger swipe left for the app switcher.
Yes. So you can find the settings under voiceover settings, and then you have to swipe to commands, and then under touch gesture, you can assign 2-finger swipe to the right for your home screen gesture, and then 2-finger swipe to the left to the app switcher. So you can change your touch gesture commands on either your iPad, your iPhone, using voiceover. And then the other tip is remember about the barcode scanning app. The one that I found it's reliable is VIP Code Reader, and the developer is Export Japan. So EXPORT Japan. And then it will give you like the beep, which the phone camera try to find the code, and then once you scan the code, it will be there in the app, so you can save them as your favorite. So if you go to a particular restaurant, the one that has a menu, and then they have a barcode that you can scan, so scan that barcode using the VIP code reader, and then you can save that into your favorite tab in your app.
All right, any more questions in the room?
Can I just ask something?
Yeah, sure.
The problem that I have when I've got various things to look at is actually finding the use by date on tins, on frozen. Is this, can we ask for an industry standard so that the use by date is in exactly the same place on each product? It's a nightmare for me to actually find use by date because they're all in different places.
That's right.
And it's the same for sighted people, they can never.
Look, fantastic idea. I don't know who would control that in the industry, but if you've got the time to sit down and write that letter or send that email, like, go for it.
Maybe get you
what a great, I mean, that's a fantastic idea. It's a great idea.
Ryan, I'm wondering too whether the sort of policy and bigger picture kind of advocacy that Blind Citizens do.
Blind Citizens Australia would be probably the best way to go.
Yeah, so it'd be great.
Yeah.
That's a great, and I think.
Yeah, love it. I mean, someone once had the idea to put dots on the notes so we knew what notes they were. You know, it was a 14-year-old boy. And now look what's happened. It's happened, but it's got to start somewhere. Someone's got to put their hand up and say, I'm going to take this on and make it happen. That wasn't
you, was it?
No.
Oh.
I wish I was 14 again.
What a great suggestion.
Yeah, but what a great suggestion. Anyone else with questions? We're aware of the time getting away, but...
And we promise you a comfort break shortly if everyone can hang in there.
Mine's not a question, it's an issue with voiceover. I've got an iPhone 7 Plus, and Siri has developed a very annoying habit of it announces who's calling you. If you know who the person is, it's in your phone, that's fine. But if it's a mobile number, it'll rattle off the number. You accept the call, and then before you can even hear what the person's saying, she's rabbiting on the number again. And so I just hang on a minute while Siri shuts up.
Talking over the top of you.
Yeah, you lose like 5 seconds of the call while she's still repeating the number.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have that issue? Because it does my head in. I've been having it for months.
It's a new upgrade, isn't it?
Yep. Is it Siri or voiceover, the one that talks?
It would be voice.
Voiceover, right?
It's Siri's voice.
Is Siri's voice?
Voiceover, yeah.
I think it's voiceover.
Yeah.
So what I did to mine before, I did 3 fingers double tap to mute the voiceover. or I assign the triple press of the home button to turn off voiceover temporarily. Yep.
So 3-finger single tap.
Double tap.
But you've got to assign that, is that right? You've got to make that command happen?
No, that's by default.
Oh, by default? Okay.
By default,
Yep.
3 fingers double tap. As long as you don't have Zoom running. If you have Zoom running at the same time with voiceover, you have to do 3 fingers triple tap to mute voiceover. But if you don't have Zoom running, just 3 fingers double tap on the screen to mute voiceover temporarily.
If you have Zoom running, then it's 3 fingers.
Yeah, triple tap, yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, we've got a question at home.
Can I just add in as well? And if you don't have to fully temporarily disable voiceover, sometimes I just do the 2 fingers tap once, and that just cuts voiceover off mid-sentence. So it just stops them in the mid-sentence. So if you just need it to quickly stop, 2 fingers tap once on the screen will stop it in mid-sentence, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I
And
would like to... Oh, go on, Sinead, sorry.
Sorry, Ryan, I was just going to add in just on an extra thing that I've found really helpful lately is getting on board with voice messages in the phones rather than even having to type or using dictation. I've used the voice messages a lot where you can record your voice sending messages or using WhatsApp with the voice message recorder. I know that's not quite relevant to apps, but I just thought I'd throw that out there because it can make things a bit easier. Yep, that was all.
Yeah, I'd like to say there on that point that, it's good to see Apple failing somewhere, but you know what, Android does the same, and what it actually does is starts counting down the seconds you've been on the call. And so it'll go 01, 02, 03, in the middle you're trying to say, hang on, stop talking, I just need to shush this Android. One of the other things, and look, I might be telling you everything you already know, but one of the things I have noticed with my work with the teenage kids and right across the country involved in the different sports that I'm in, a lot of the people these days, vision impaired people, they all use their WhatsApp Messenger and all that sort of stuff, but I'd have to say 95% of the messages that come through are all audio. So it's just one of those things that everyone's doing these days because I think we find it quicker. It's simpler, it's easier, you don't have to go back and correct spelling mistakes or anything like that. You're not relying on the phone's dictation. And sometimes it's quite like now I've got on one of the groups from Brisbane where we've set up a youth group over in Brisbane of vision impaired kids. There's 76 messages just from this morning, all voice messages. I'm not going to sit there today and listen to them all, that's for sure. But I might flick through tonight just as I'm, finishing my day or whatever and go, oh yeah, this is what they were talking about. This is where we're at. Does anyone know? We don't need to jump in there or, okay, alert. Yes, I might have to get back with that person tomorrow. But, so yeah, audio messages, don't be frightened of it. It's something my family in the beginning was a little bit slow getting used to, and my friends, but now it's just something I do. And they'll type back to me, they'll write back, but I send audio. It's a lot quicker. It's easier. The whole world should just move over to it. Yeah. Shall we take a break?
Sure, I just wonder if there's any, have we exhausted all the questions in the room? Oh, yes, please.
I've forgotten.
Beg your pardon.
Rabbited along about other things, but it'll come back.
Please let us know when
It'll come back.
when you come back. And while you're thinking, do you mind if I hijack? It's Maria. Just briefly, I really wanted to give my appreciation and thanks to, that was quite a very detailed presentation from Magdalena Basowski and Judy Wang. Wonderful to have you and everyone attending in the room and online. Thanks for bearing with us through some of the IT challenges. We'll see Magda has provided all of her links. And I wanted to reflect upon, gosh, there's such a long list. Move It app, Soundscape, Seeing AI, Be My Eyes, Aria, what have I left out? Apple devices, spoken content, accessible bus stops. Oh my goodness. And we have a plethora of information outside that if it's of any use to you, you're welcome to take, including our O&M's night O&M course, night travel course coming up in about a month. and hygiene, Manny, tips on hygiene, my goodness. And from the audience, I appreciate the, I'm happy to send an email off to Blind Sits about the suggestion about standardising the use by date. And if you wanted to be involved in that, if you wanted to stay involved in that, yes, I'm getting nods. I might make sure I've got your details. That would be great. And of course, gosh, so many tips, voiceover feeds. So please do. I think if everyone can, we're planning to run till 12:30.
A 15-20 minute break.
A quick pit stop. And please come back. I'm chomping at the bit to, Manny's going to talk a little bit more about our services and unfortunately in response to what is actually happening, unfortunately for some people we're aware of, is keeping safe online and cyber scams. So if you will come back, and everyone online, feel free to come back. Let me get the time so everyone knows what time exactly to come back. What time is it now?
So we'll come back at 11:30.
Yep. How does that sound?
Remember the question, it's really easy.
Go for it.
My phone, if the phone's ringing, is there a way that I can say, hey Siri, or answer phone?
That will be coming out in iOS 16.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
People at home, I will mute the microphone so you don't have to listen to us all eating, drinking, etc. So just stay with us and we'll be back on at 11:30.
And
Thank you.
Lynn has brought some gifts for our presenters. I might give them to you now.
Well, we'll do that after.